What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. Occasionally, more than daily, when every single piece of news breaks. I'm Brinson, I'm your host. It is Thursday, January 27th. If you are watching on the YouTube machine, youtube.com/pick6, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, or subscribe and hit the alert button for YouTube. Excuse me. If you do that, you will get notified when we go live, which we do for every single coaching hire. And of course, when after the playoff games. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, probably Friday, January 28th. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. Spotify just added that. We would love for you guys to hook us up. We're also going to give away. I think we're going to give away something, but I'll let you know.
We are definitely going to give away something.
Okay, cool. Are we going to give away a gift card?
A gift card.
All right, we're going to give away a $100 Paramount Plus gift card on this show. You can win $100, basically a year worth of Paramount Plus Premium. Smash the like button. Leave your name in the chat. Joining me to break down the divisional round, or the conference championship round. I am absolutely loopy right now. Pete Prisco and RJ White. What's up, fellas?
By the way, if Spotify doesn't give us 5 stars, I'm taking my music catalog off Spotify.
I knew you were going to say that. Should have known that was coming. RJ, are you more of a Prisco guy or a Neil Young guy?
Definitely a Prisco guy.
Neil Young, man. Love Neil Young.
I'm a crooner, RJ. I'm more of a crooner.
I saw Neil Young in concert like a year and a half ago, maybe 2. Actually, I guess definitely not a year and a half ago. Maybe like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It was actually it was a good show, but it was very short, just very succinct. Didn't really like it. I like my shows stretched out.
Ain't a kid anymore. He's not a kid anymore, you know.
He's like,
I wouldn't be surprised if we learned that Pete actually ghost wrote "I Did It My Way." It's a very Pete song.
You know what? You're right.
I continued my dominant playoff run, and I should have been 4-0, and that stinking underdog parlay should have hit too. 13 seconds left. Oh, RJ, I forgot you're a Bills fan. Jeez Louise. Where does that rank for you as a fortunately we got our Braves a World Series title this year, but where does that the only underdog to lose on the weekend slate were the Buffalo Bills at a lead with 13 seconds to go, seemed like it was over. Where does that rank for you in terms of heartbreak material?
I mean, you get used to it at a certain point. When they don't squib it, you're like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then they give up the first play, like, oh my God, what are we doing? Hold somebody. And then they get the second play. And it's just like, as soon as you get to the coin toss, I'm screaming heads. He calls tails. They say heads. And it's like, all right, game over. We don't have to finish watching this.
But by the way, I saw somebody ranked the toughest Bills losses in franchise history. And number one was the Super Bowl loss, which I get it. But this was it's a bigger loss, but it's not a more this is the worst loss in terms of how you lost it, or the Music City Miracle.
Yeah, we're going into this game though. We're the underdogs. We were competitive. We gave them their best shot, so I'm not really disappointed in how they played, especially on the offensive side. That Super Bowl, it's like you're supposed to win that game. You're the favorites, and everybody thought you're going to win, and all you dumb kicker got to make his kick, and all you do is win, and that's all you got to do to win the game. And that would be the Super Bowl, and everything that came after that.
Game, though, yeah, but the way they lost this game is the biggest joke. I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah,
you squib it or you mortar kick it or whatever just to make sure that they run some clock. Or if you pin them in, if you mortar kicked it, you pin them in. They call fair catch. You're inside the 10, and you talk about holding. There's the rule now that you can't do it blatantly on successive plays.
But you can do it once.
The first play, you get warned. You can do it once.
Yeah.
I mean, they just choked that. It was bad. It was a bad choke job.
It was really weird because Sean McDermott, and not to relitigate the whole thing, but like Sean McDermott, I consider to be a pretty with it coach in terms of how he adjusts in games and decision making from the sideline. And I mean, they just completely brain farted that entire final sequence. I think it was just like, okay, look, 13 seconds. They've got to make they have to have I don't know. The whole thing was just bizarre. But
and they call timeout.
And after showing them their defense, yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, I
questions.
mean, it's just really stupid.
Well, the good news is Dermott has identified that what the offense needs is more balance running the ball. So that's apparently what he told Dayball. Now Dayball's going to be like, all right, I've had enough of this. Go coach another team, and we're going to be stuck with McDermott. Who also
meanwhile,
agree.
they held him back. Yeah, they held him back in the first quarter. I thought the game plan was terrible in the first quarter. They could have been throwing it all over them.
So,
yep. Bills are my only loss. I went 3-1 on our best bets. Pete actually beat me with a better record of 4-1 in the divisional round. RJ 2-2. It's our overall record for the playoffs. I am 6-2. Pete 6-5. RJ 3-5. As mentioned, we are giving away $100 Paramount Plus gift card to someone in the chat. Smash the like button and type P+ in that chat, and we will try to give that away. Hopefully one of y'all will be the winner. Hopefully somebody wins it. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Brinson, by the way, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh boy.
We're our season, we're not counting the regular season and the playoffs combined here, but you're sure counting it on regular season and playoffs combined on the pick site.
You mean on our employer's site?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't control that.
Yeah, but
I control this.
The only reason you changed this one was because you wanted to make yourself look better, period.
No.
Yeah.
You used to admit that.
Because I'd be in first place in our picks right now.
Chat. Like Kenny already won a $100 gift card watching our Ben Roethlisberger retires emergency podcast. We've done.
So we won another one?
We're giving away another one.
No, he hasn't given it away yet. He's just saying he already won one from a different podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a proposal to make. I say we name Pete the combined winner for regular season and playoffs on this podcast so we can stop talking about it and I stop after hearing about it every single week.
Because I still got a week to choke.
No, you're going to win. You're the winner. You're the winner.
RJ's conceding, so you'll stop whining about it.
You're the combined winner now.
No.
Let's just stop talking about it, please.
RJ, I got another week to choke.
That's all you. You're going perfect this week. I haven't even seen your picks. I know you're going perfect.
I don't think so. I think my picks are rotten.
You do?
I don't like this weekend.
I don't like this week either. Sorry, I'm trying to tweet out a link to this. Okay. Well, I guess we should dive into it. Just talk about the games, right? Bengals at Chiefs. Chiefs -7, over under 54.5. And I agree with you, Pete. You and I have the same picks, so I won't catch you on the season-long picks. I honestly thought about like doing different picks just to try and leapfrog you for the full season, but I guess we'll see what happens with the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl matchup. This is a terrifying line. The Chiefs are -7. It is juiced to the Chiefs now on Caesars. Chiefs -115. That over the total has climbed. I mean, you're on one hand, you're either fading Joe Burrow, or on the other hand, you're just getting in front of this steamroller that is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense right now. It's not a very desirable place to be, Pete.
No, but I still think when you look at this game, it's a problem for the Bengals in terms of their offensive line. They were bad last week. By the way, congratulations, spinning tops of the week, you won. And it wasn't just the right guard, Adeniji, who was terrible, but the left tackle, Jonah Williams, was just as bad. So how do you protect him? Well, the thing is, he's great in empty. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league in empty. But when you go empty, that leaves them vulnerable to the sack. Now, some of those sacks were on him, but I still think they're going to be able to hit the shots down the field. I think they're going to score. We saw the Chiefs. They can't play defense on the back end. Honey Badger's going to be back. He'll be back in the lineup. That'll help them. But I still think the Bengals are going to score. I think the Chiefs are going to score. I think it's going to be close. I think the Bengals are going to hang around, and it's a touchdown. So I'm going to take the Bengals as one of my best bets. But the best bet of all of them is the over in this game. I cannot see this total. I didn't see the Bills and Chiefs having any chance to go under. It didn't. This isn't going under. I think this is going to be an over. So my two best bets here are the Bengals and the over.
And if the Chiefs get that stop on fourth down, I think it does go under in that game, that Bills game, because they can, they get the ball back without the Bills scoring. That kicked off the 25-point, slugfest or however many it was back and forth at the end of the game. So I think that game would have come under, surprisingly, if not for that fourth down touchdown to one of the four to Gabe Davis. I also lean to Cincy at +7. I'm waiting to get 7.5. If it was 7.5 on this show, I'd put them in as a best bet. I also like your over. I'm leaning that way too. Cincy hasn't been at its best in the playoffs, but they're managing wins. And I think what happens if they get things click, and they become the team that did beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Needed a goal line interception against Vegas to secure their first win. Tannehill needed the meltdown for them to get the second win. But Burrow's been playing fantastic when he's not on his back and he's not getting sacked. Tennessee is 10th in adjusted sack rate, while Kansas City is 28th. So I don't think Burrow is going to be on the ground as much in this game. And Kansas City's offense has been lights out, but play in the D is a problem, like you said. Even if Matthew's back, he's been on the field for most of their struggles in the second half of the season down the stretch. So it's not like, he's the magic elixir that's going to fix this team. Since he's going to come into this game with confidence, knowing they can beat the Chiefs because they already beat them. So I think 7 is too many points here. I know the Chiefs are a better team. Knowing that since he can score points in bunches, they're going to be able to get explosive plays and keep it close in the second half. So I would lean to the Chiefs, to the Bengals as well. And like I said, 7.5 is where I'll play it. I have a few prop best bets in this game, but I'll let you break down your picks, Brinson, before we get into props.
Yeah, I'm on the Bengals too, catching the 7. Clearly, you'd rather have 7.5. This line hasn't moved, I don't believe, to 7.5, right? Or did I miss it? And there was
no, I think it opened 6.5 and quickly got up to 7 as people back the Chiefs because you can't put it at 6.5. But then the books are scared to put 7.5 out there because they don't want to get that back down the other way. Because people will do that. They'll be all over the Bengals at 7.5.
Yeah, I think I think you're just going to see the juice kind of flipping and flopping on both sides throughout the course, throughout the rest of the week. Obviously, Friday if you're listening now, or Thursday if you're watching on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, we are giving away a $100 Paramount Plus gift card. It's basically a year's worth of free streaming access to our premier streaming service. Hit the like button on this video and type P+ in the chat to be eligible. They're just not going to give you 6.5 and 7.5 because if you do that, then all of a sudden, you have that option where people could end up, getting both numbers, lands on 7, and boom, people cash it. I don't think the books will want that to happen. They'll just keep moving the juice, letting people bet it on both sides. I picked the Bengals and 49ers to be in the Super Bowl before the playoffs began, and I had the 49ers before the season began. So I kind of feel like I have to ride it out. But man, I don't mind taking the Bengals +7 at all. This is Joe Burrow. We talked at length about how he performs in these must-win games. RJ points out the sack situation. Melvin Ingram playing awesome. Chris Jones is a problem, but they're not the same guys as what we saw from the Titans. And Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times and still found a way to win. I understand that the Chiefs are objectively a much better team. They just, when you look at the stats, the analytics, everything, the Bengals are like bottom half of the league in DVOA, including the playoff games. But I just don't have any interest in fading Joe Burrow. This guy just wins games, and he's an absolute stone cold killer. And the other thing, too, when you're getting 7 with the Bengals, it is absolutely opening you up to storm through the back door against a questionable Chiefs defense that just coughed up a ton of points to the Bills. So I just don't see how you can. I don't see how you can't take the 7, which makes it, I guess, a little stinky. Pete, do you have any props, or you want to move?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple in this game. I got Tyler Boyd anytime touchdown. I think it's +230. I think he's going to have opportunity in the middle of the field. I think he gets a touchdown here. And the other one, I have Mixon over total yards combined. I saw 89.5. I don't know if that's the number we have now, but it's got to be in the ballpark. So I would take those.
RJ, what do you got in terms of props?
Yeah, so I had 3 best bets for this game. I have Burrow over 284.5 passing yards, 300 yards in 5 of his last 7 games, including 446 against the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs, we're dealing with COVID issues coming out of that game, so I'm not just penciling him in for 450 in this game, but 300 seems like you should hit that. The numbers come down a little bit earlier in the week. I think it was 289.5, but weirdly got numbers on guys like Chase and Boyd receiving yards go up. So I don't know. It seems like the market's moving a little bit against Burrow's over. And at this point, 284.5, I think he's a good value, knowing that since he's going to have to throw a lot, volume's going to be there for him to get to 300 again. So that's one. I like Kelsey to go over 74.5 receiving yards, since he allows the 5th most receiving yards to tight ends in the regular season. Kelsey only had 5 catches for 25 yards in the first game between these teams, but that was his first week back from COVID, so a little bit limited there. He's also scored in 5 straight, but I believe the anytime touchdown odds are like minus 150, somewhere around there. That's a little steep for me on a tight end prop if you're not talking about a running back who you know is going to see it. But, he sees as many goal line looks as about anybody's on that field. So maybe you play that too. Then my third one is Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 37.5 rushing yards. He had 60 yards on just 7 carries last week, with Buffalo struggling to slow Mahomes. I think the Bengals are going to have to try to figure out that Mahomes, how to slow him down and just leave soft boxes for Edwards-Helaire in this game. I think his workload increases in this game, even if Darrell Williams is able to come back and play, because I don't think he aggravated anything. Last week I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire looked fine, and since he allowed 125 yards on 17 carries to Williams and Gore in the first meeting, so if Edwards-Helaire is getting the primary looks for that rushing offense, it just seems to me like he's going to get 60-70 yards, and this number is way too low. So those would be my 3. If I like Pete's Mixon call, I would lean to over his receptions. It was 4.5 at big plus money earlier. Now it's 3.5 at big minus money. So I just think he seems like a 6 catch type of guy in this game. Chase is over. I think it's going up, but you can still feel fine playing that too. And I would lean to the Boyd under, because he hasn't been as big part of the passing game the last few weeks, 36 yards or less in 3 straight.
I actually am going to go with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire under 37.5 rushing yards, and that's because I think there were multiple games. I find it hard to believe that the Chiefs could run away with this game, obviously, and then that would be a problem for Edwards-Helaire. I do think that the Bengals will slow the run game down enough and keep this competitive enough that you don't see a ton of carries from the Chiefs, who just haven't been quite as good. They're just not a great run team. I don't think the offensive line's great, but especially with Darrell Williams coming back in the mix too, I think we end up seeing a lot more of a diverse run game from the Chiefs. That number also looks like it's going to move down pretty juicy. You'd prefer to have something higher, obviously. On Joe Burrow pass attempts too, I'm going to take the under on that. The Burrow pass attempt total is 38.5. I mean, last time these two teams played, right, in week 17, Burrow, they're down 21-7, so the game script is there for him to throw the ball a ton, and he still only threw it 39 times, 30 of 39 for 446 and 4 touchdowns. I think there are multiple ways where you can get this under, and one could even come in a shootout. Again, the score in that game was 34-31, and the Bengals were trailing for a lot of that game, and he still didn't get over 40 passing attempts. So I think that number is probably a little bit too high. I will take both of those. I also have I assume at this point, are we taking, if you pick the game, aren't you taking it as a best bet or no?
Yeah. Right?
Like I have the Bengals in the over. I think Bengals in the over.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. So I have 4 best bets on this game, basically. There's 2 props.
I got Bengals and over, and I also have a teaser with the Bengals in it too.
Okay. Well, what's the other half of that teaser that Pete's going to be using? We will tell you coming up after the break. The second half of the doubleheader on Conference Championship Sunday features 2 NFC West teams, 2 teams close to my heart, Pete, as the Los Angeles Rams, captained by future Hall of Famer Matthew Stafford, 2 wins away from me stuffing it in your eye hole with Stafford being a Hall of Famer, hosting San Francisco 49ers.
Slow your roll on that. I mean, now you got Brady Quinn saying the same thing too.
Oh yeah,
you guys are getting a little ahead of yourself.
If he wins the Super Bowl, he's going to the Hall of Fame. We just need.
But if he's a Hall of Famer, Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
That probably gets in eventually. Stafford of the Rams.
So wait, so Stafford's ahead of Matt Ryan
if he wins the Super Bowl. Yes.
That's
look at. No, it's not. It's just how it works.
The guy won an MVP, A, and B, he was a bad Kyle Shanahan game from winning the Super Bowl.
Well, maybe Matthew Stafford's a bad Kyle Shanahan game away from winning the Super Bowl too. Rams minus 3.5 against the 49ers. As you can see, the juice on this one at Caesars it looks like it could, same sort of thing with the 7 on the Bengals and Chiefs. the juice is leaning towards the 3.5, but I don't know that they want to get down to 3 in this spot, Pete.
I'm taking the Niners. I don't think you're going to need the 3. I think they're winning the game. I went back again and watched the Week 18 game, and they just beat the daylights out of them up front. Beat them up. Couldn't handle them. And I don't think they're going to be able to handle them in this game in terms of the defensive line against that offensive line. And the interior pressure was dominant in that game. Dominant. It wasn't just Nick Bosa. It was the interior pressure. And I think that's a problem area for the Rams. They were terrible that day. It's going to show up here. And on the other side, I think, look, the Rams have been better on defense against the run this year, but we know the Niners, they're going to run the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo will hit a couple shots. By the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, that was a terrible decision on the goal line. Terrible, terrible throw. What about the shot he took in the middle of the field and hit Kittle in the hands he would have walked in? Nobody ever says anything about the good throws he makes. I think he's good enough in this game. I think they'll take the pressure off by running it. I'm going to take the 49ers to win the game outright. I'll take the points, though. I'm not going to call it a money line pick because we don't do that here. I'm going to take the under in this game as a best bet as well. And then the other half of the teaser is 49ers and Bengals. So I get the Bengals in 13. I get the 49ers in 9.5.
I like that.
Yeah, I earlier in the week I was leaning to the Rams. I just figured they got to solve the San Francisco issue at some point, and with Jimmy's health, it just seemed like this would be the time they do it. But Jimmy seems like he's healthier now. They took the shoulder issue off the injury report, so it's just a thumb issue, and he's been dealing with that. Better as we progress on. In fact, his worst time he had for that was the first half of that Rams game, and then he got his shot, and they were all good to go there. So I think San Fran can make it a competitive game. I would also lean to plus 3.5. It is going the other way though. It had been plus 3.5 minus 120 for a lot of the early part of the week, and now it seems like they're moving a little bit toward the Rams. So I wonder if we're less likely to get it down to 3. It might just sit at 3.5 as we move forward. Debo dealing with the knee injury, probably going to be fine, just something to monitor. Key injury question for me is Trent Williams. If he plays, I think the line needs to be 3 instead of 3.5. So I think they'll be able to block and match them kind of on offensive side as well. San Francisco's D, even if the offense is struggling, can keep the team in the game. That Rams are the only team to score 20 plus in regulation versus San Francisco since week 13. And in that game, they only had 265 yards. So it's not like they lit up the field with their offense in that game. So with San Fran's, with Jimmy's health trending up, I feel better about San Fran. If Williams is cleared, I'll probably look to San Fran at 3.5. For this podcast, my best bet is San Fran plus 3 in the first half for a 3.5 point spread. It was surprising to me to see that the first half line was 3. I think it's a lot of reading into what happened in the first half of the last meeting between these teams, and I don't think you can read a lot into that. I think in all those other games where San Fran is beating LA the last 3 years, they're either leading or tied in the first half. So I would play San Fran plus 3 on the first half before I'd play the 3.5 at this point.
That's an interesting look. Even though they had to come back, you like the Niners minus plus 3. I guess you feel like they keep it close, or Kyle Shanahan's game scripts come out sharp and they've got a lead.
Yeah, I think that was atypical that last game, because they typically are ahead in the first half, or at the very least it gets tied, at the end. I believe there was one game there where they were behind by like 14 or 11 in the first half or something. They get a late touchdown to bring it close, and then Fred Warner gets like a 50-yard pick six to take the lead going into halftime. So that's kind of the thing that kept the streak going there. But they tend to be pretty good in the first half, that last game notwithstanding, and we know there was an injury issue there that I don't think is going to be in play this time. That's why I like the Niners in the first half here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I sort of feel the same way about this game as I do about the Chiefs and Bengals game. Like, I know I picked the Niners and the Bengals to make the Super Bowl before the playoffs started. I am 13 seconds away from actually having a perfect playoff bracket, which is kind of, not too shabby, considering a bunch of upsets and whatnot. But for some reason, my gut is telling me to go the opposite of what I picked several weeks ago. And that scares the crap out of me. Like I guess not my gut, but the lines are so stinky at 7 and 3.5 that it just scares me a little bit. Like I would feel better about the Rams if they were, or I feel better about the Niners if they were like plus 1.5 or plus 2, and better about the Bengals if they were plus like 5 than plus 7. I know that makes no sense at all, but does it make some sense in just because of the way that like Vegas is begging you to take the Bengals and the 49ers?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Just make sure.
Let me ask you this. Does the fact that they've won 6 straight against them and then the people are asking McVay if he's in his head.
Yeah.
Does that impact any of you?
I wish no one had realized that the 49ers had won 6 straight and nobody was talking about it. I mean, obviously that would never happen, but I feel like because of that, you're going to see the general public jump all over the 49ers catching 3.5. It's like, oh, never lost to, Shanahan's never lost to McVay. He owns him, blah, 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 blah. You get 3.5. This is a lock. And that's what worries me a little bit because the Rams are an awesome football team. And Matthew Stafford wasn't asked to do a whole lot in that first game against Arizona, but he's been fantastic in the playoffs so far. I mean, he's making all the correct decisions. That offensive line is holding up well. Defensively, like if Trent Williams is missing, I might veer back to the.
But he's great. He's the best quarterback in the league against the blitz, and you're facing a team that doesn't have to blitz that much.
Yeah,
that's a different dynamic for them.
For sure.
Here's the, I put this in my picks the other day. The last time a team beat a team twice in the regular season and then went to their place and won the championship game, I watched the 3 games up close and personal. It was 1999. One of the teams was glitzy and glamorous and pretty and had all the athletes and the stars. And the other one was a blue-collar, tough, physical, nasty team. Well, the tough, physical, nasty team was the Tennessee Titans, and they went to Jacksonville and beat them up in the championship game that year. And I don't know if the 49ers are going to beat them up in the championship game, but this reminds me of that the Rams are the pretty team, the glitzy team, the glamorous team, and you got the physical, nasty, violent, stick-it-in-your-face team. And that's why I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I just do. I think they're the more physical, violent team. They play that way. They're, guys like DJ Jones and Street, those guys on the interior, they don't get the due they deserve. They're good players. And Armstead's a really good player. And they got a bunch of guys that can rotate in and rush the passer. And I think that's going to be a problem for Stafford in this game.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is that, just the way that the 49ers play on defense, you tend to I think you look at this team and because of the talent that they have and where the talent resides, it lends itself to a team that when you go up against a Sean McVay who wants to pound the football, the 49ers are second in terms of DVOA against the run on the season, including the playoffs. They should be able to stop Cam Akers and, Sony Michel from running the football. And that's the issue is we saw McVay let the Buccaneers back in this game. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, not as good as Tom Brady. No one will ever tell you that. The 49ers aren't as explosive, but we've seen them come back against this Rams team, and the Rams tend to get conservative. So even with the lead, if you're catching the 3.5, you could find yourself in a situation where it gets to overtime, the Rams win by 3, or, it's tied late and there's a field goal that wins the game. And that's why I sort of want the 3.5. But I do think I'm going to just roll with the 49ers. I mean, look, 49ers Bengals wins on Sunday is very profitable for me because I got a parlay. I mean, I got the pre-playoff matchup on them at 85-1. So I would love for that to happen.
Tell me if this isn't you guys agree with this. In that 99 season, anytime the Jaguars are the better team, I'll still take that to my grave. But anytime a little mistake happened and they were rolling in that game and they fumbled a punt at the end of the half and the Titans turned it into points, then they got a sack for a safety and then they got to rip the kickoff. It's almost like that team, like the 49ers, and we saw it last week with the block punt. Those teams feast on your mistakes, and the other team that's the favorite in the game starts thinking about it and pressing. We saw it a little bit with the Rams last week against Tampa Bay, even though they were the dog in that game, they had the big lead, kind of say. But I think the Rams are the team with the pressure in this game, having gone all in. You agree? Yeah,
for sure. If the 49ers lose this game, people are going to look at the 49ers and say, all right, maybe a disappointing season that you didn't get to the Super Bowl, but the fact that they were dead in the water at like the end of the year. Like it looked like they were just going to miss the playoffs completely. And they started 3-5 to be able to get to the NFC Championship game and have a legitimate shot at 2 Super Bowls in 3 years with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think people would say, man, Kyle Shanahan, heck of a job. Like the idea that Kyle Shanahan would be on the hot seat, which was something that was being bandied around earlier in the year, is laughable after getting this far. Whereas the Rams, if you lose this game, it's like, man, you went all in on this season. You had a great year. Stafford looked awesome. Yes, you can replicate it next year, but you have no draft picks, and you're now 0-7 against Kyle Shanahan and a division rival that just went to the Super Bowl again for the second time in 3 years. I think it would be far more devastating for the Rams to lose this game than the Niners. RJ,
you agree?
Yeah, I think it'd be devastating for either of them, but I can see what you're saying from an outsider perspective. I think both of these teams, San Fran's got to go into this game with a ton of confidence. And to Pete's point about you getting in their head about with the turning the mistakes into positive plays, I think the main thing there is feeling like you have to be perfect. And if you try to play football trying to be perfect on every single play, it's not going to work because things happen. You got to be able to adjust to that and do those things. So you just got to go out and play your game. You can't worry about are they going to take advantage of every single mistake? You have to do what you do out there, and then it'll be easier than trying to be perfect on every single play and call the perfect play and do every single thing perfectly, because that's just not going to happen over 60 minutes of football.
Yeah. The other thing too about the Niners that I kind of think might make them a bad matchup for the Rams is the Rams can tend to neutralize a lot of threat. Like if you have an alpha wide receiver and you have, like, for instance, the Buccaneers. The Rams are a bad matchup for Tampa because, especially with the banged up offensive line, because they can get pressure on them. And, you just have Mike Evans there who you can slide, you can move Jalen Ramsey across and line him up if Evans starts to get going. And granted, he torched, Ramsey, but you get the point. Whereas the 49ers, it's a lot harder. Like Jalen Ramsey isn't necessarily a great matchup for any of the key weapons. You're not going to leave him on George Kittle, who's might be blocking half the time, right? I mean, you're going to try and put him on Ayuk or Samuel. And, with the way that they move Samuel around, he's coming out of the backfield. I just think it makes it tough to match up for the Rams and Raheem Morris in that spot. So I'm going to take the Niners to win. Man, I don't like fading.
By the way, I would play Ramsey. By the way, Will, I would play Ramsey on Kittle.
You just put Ramsey, just be like, you're taking
when I got in certain situations, if I'm matching up in man concept, I'm going to play him on Kittle. I think he can cover him.
Okay. I think you can cover him too. I'm just saying that with Kittle,
they play him inside a lot, so it's not like he can't do that. He's done it before. So
no, for sure. I mean,
they don't. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You could take away Mike Evans, and what else you have? You take away Kittle, you can go to Debo, you can go Ayuk, you can go somewhere else.
And it's like if you use Ramsey on Kittle for the whole, let's say you just you're going to shadow Kittle. Kittle's gonna be run blocking, could be run blocking, and and it's just hard. I mean, Ramsey, you want somebody like Ramsey to be able to diagnose whether or not it's going to be a play action leak out, and maybe that takes away a lot of the concepts of what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. But yeah, I mean, I think personnel wise, it's not an ideal matchup for the Rams. So I'm going to take the Niners here to win, to cover, and I'm petrified of the Rams and fading the Rams, and I'll be happy either way. Rams or 49ers make the Super Bowl. I'll be thrilled because I'm either right or Matthew Stafford is in the Super Bowl. Any props, RJ? Or Pete, any props?
I got 2. Cam Akers under rushing yards, and I saw it at 58.5. I don't know what it is right now.
Ooh. 59.5.
Yeah, he hasn't exactly.
2 fumbles last week.
And he hasn't exactly lit it up. What is rushing? It's a great story. The fact that he's even back, but the numbers haven't been great.
2 yards per carry, I think.
Yeah. So I'm taking the under on that one. And then I don't know what the team sack total is for the 49ers. I couldn't find that, but if I can find that somewhere, I would take the team sack number over whatever. I think it's probably what do you think it is? 2.5?
I don't know. I think they do a lot of that for Super Bowl, but I'm not sure if they're going to put it out for this game. I don't know if it's up yet. It might be something they try to put up Friday, Saturday.
If they do put it out, that's one I think the 49ers will get at least 4 sacks in this game.
They don't have any defensive stuff on here. They'll add it probably later in the week. I'm RJ, what about you for props?
Yeah, you talked about Ramsey. Is he going to line up on Ayuk? I think Ayuk goes over 47.5 receiving yards anyway, so that's my best bet in this game. Rams 4th most receiving yards allowed to receivers, despite 2nd fewest touchdowns allowed to them. So they're willing to give you yardage to receivers in the game. They're just not going to give up touchdowns. They're going to clamp down there. Ayuk had at least 6 targets and 66 yards in 3 straight before that Green Bay game, where he had nothing on 1 target, because that was just the nature of that game. With Jimmy getting healthier, I think that he could have a good game here. He had a season best 107 yards against the Rams in Week 18 with Garoppolo's thumb in a worse state than it is now. So that's my best bet, as Ayuk over 47.5 receiving yards. I would also lean to Stafford's under 280.5 passing yards, just thinking that San Fran rush is too good, like Pete's saying. I think it's a lot of short passing and run game for in the McVay's plan there, and Stafford's going to have trouble getting over 280.5. But Higbee going over, it was 39.5 receiving yards earlier in the week. I think it's 41.5 now. He's had 40-plus yards in 6 straight games. He has to be on the field all the time blocking anyway, so he gets a lot of opportunities there. So I think he can get over 40 yards, get into that 45 to 50 range. So that's a lean
like
for
that
me
one.
with it going up.
I must put that in myself, RJ. I like that Higbee one.
Mm-hmm.
Higbee over receiving yards?
Yeah.
Okay. Higbee receptions, for the record, is okay. That's long. It's 4.5. That's pretty steep, though. Heavily juiced to the under. I mean, I think you have an advantage. You have an opportunity, if you believe the 49ers can come out and, take the lead here and be running with the lead, that you have a real opportunity to bet some of these Rams over, because if the Rams are in a negative game script, or if they're unable to run, they may just have to throw it a ton. And maybe it's a bit of a shootout late, or it's a close game late, and they're letting Stafford throw the ball a bunch. 18.5 for Akers, not bad. I like that Higbee as well, 41.5. I mean, Kupp is probably going over 102.5, right? I mean,
it goes every week. What I see was his long reception. It was over under was 29.5. Is that right?
That is. I closed it. What do you got, Debo? Let's see. 28.5 for Cooper Kupp's over under longest reception.
I would go over that one.
Yeah. I mean, the 49ers secondary is vulnerable. Like this game could easily turn into a shootout. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so, but if you block them, you beat them. That's my philosophy. Packers couldn't block them last week.
No, they could not. All right. So last week in props, Mahomes was the leading rusher. Unbelievable. 80-1.
By 1 over Allen, who we liked.
Yeah.
It was like,
Mahomes,
so close.
I know. Mahomes also the leading passer. Gabriel Davis at 201 receiving yards, leading receiver. Highest scoring team, Chiefs, 42. Lowest scoring team,
Did Mahomes
Packers,
get any on that? Did he get any rushing yards on that last drive in overtime?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
But by the way, it should have been the Buccaneers as the lowest scoring team, but then the Rams let him back in, and we were all over the Buccaneers as a possible spot for that. Most rushing yards this coming week, Elijah Mitchell -110, Cam Akers.
This is actually before. It's not this week. I think this is for the playoffs, because you'll see Clyde Edwards-Helaire at like 28-1, which doesn't make any sense for if you're going this week only.
Oh, that's why Mahomes is +750. Okay, so we don't have these for just this week.
No, I think it's for the entire playoffs.
Quick receiving yards, Debo, and just see if that pops up the same thing.
Yeah, see, it says playoffs 2022.
What's
So that counts these 2 games. It's combined in Super Bowl.
It's just everything in the playoffs and Super Bowl. Yeah.
Oh, everything going forward
and going backwards. Counting what happened and what's going past.
So it's like betting on the
future.
Betting on the rushing yards leader at like week 10 is essentially what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. So what are the odds? That's kind of goofy.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather bet one of the Chiefs guys, because you would think that
they would
just Rams more likely to lose or 40.
So like, what are the odds on Mahomes being the passing yards leader for the postseason?
Let's see.
Because that's you think if you think they're going to win, if they're the biggest favorite of the group.
I don't think they might not have even hung it, because he's so far.
Right.
Look, like Burrow, he's 200 yards ahead of Burrow, and they're playing. So Mahomes would be like -600 or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be basically whatever their money line is this week. That's what Mahomes would be.
So they don't have them for this week, huh?
No, they don't. We do have. Oh, you can win. You can bet on the Super Bowl MVP already. There's actually, if you're going to bet on it, that's not a bad time to do it because you're getting more value based on the fact that,
I mean, you would take Mahomes.
I mean, you can bet Patrick Mahomes at plus 170 to be the Super Bowl MVP right now. That's not bad value.
All the players out there, that's who I would bet.
Stafford 3.5 to 1, Jimmy G 8.5 to 1, Cooper Kupp 9 to 1, Joe Burrow 10 to 1. Although if you're betting Burrow, you'd almost just rather money line parlay the Bengals. I would think that'd be a better option. Where is?
Can you imagine if the 49ers got the Super Bowl and Jimmy G won it, and Jimmy G was the Super Bowl MVP?
Kyle Shanahan would have a weird
I don't
off.
think it's Kyle Shanahan. I don't think he wanted Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think if you want to take a long shot there, play Deebo Samuel at 20 to 1. Because if San Fran gets to the Super Bowl, then everybody's going to talk about him all week leading up to the game. So if he has 50 yards rushing plus 50 yards receiving and a touchdown, he's probably in play already for that.
And
by the way, can I have a different take on Deebo Samuel?
As long as it's not
he weakens. I think he weakens. They weaken the offense when he plays running back.
Okay, explain yourself.
Because I think you've seen every running back who runs the football for the 49ers can run the ball. I don't care who it is. Elijah Mitchell can run it. Jeff Wilson can run it. Raheem Mostert always ran it. They all run it. So you have this great player who can do so many different things outside, and you can still hand the ball off to him in those jet sweeps and stuff. That you take away a piece of your offense by putting him in the backfield, where he's a little bit better. Is he significantly better than the running backs? And the answer to that question is no. Is he significantly better than the other pass catchers? And the answer to that question is yes. So I think you weaken your team when you do that. I don't like it.
Okay. I would just point out that the 49ers are 9-1 since he started using Deebo as a running back.
That's here nor there. I mean, they've also played significantly better on the defensive line since then.
They have.
I just feel like in the postseason, they have 10 sacks in the postseason.
I think what you're doing is you're taking an explosive playmaker and manufacturing touches for him when your other option is needing Jimmy G to get him the ball. And sometimes that's not as easy as just letting him run these jet sweeps, using him in motion. And I think it stretches defenses horizontally.
The stand-up bubble screen, it's just as easy to get it to him in that scenario that isn't a run. But I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I like you're not taking away from Deebo. You're hyping Deebo up more, like saying like you need to just get him the ball traditionally in space as he's running, right? I mean, like I don't think he's a great running back. I think he's a great receiver. That's my problem with it.
The one thing I like about it is that you put so much on tape that defenses now have to account for. It's like it's not just a running game that you're kind of a traditional running game. You have to account for Deebo in the backfield and do all these other things that Shanahan will throw at you. So everything you put on tape for defenses to have to prepare for, that's something that they can't prepare for against time is a very limited asset. So you only prepare for so much. So I like being able to throw so much out there. Even if it'd be funny if they dialed back what they did with him, like in the Super Bowl, if they got there, because they're just like, we made you prepare for all this during this week, and then we just beat you, kind of more traditionally because you weren't expecting us to do it the other way.
Hey, let me ask you:
is he a better runner? Is he a better runner than Elijah Mitchell?
He's a better player, but probably not a better runner.
Right. So I don't know. I get your theory, RJ, about making him think of it just like when they did everybody went crazy. Look, they put Trent Williams in motion and everything. Oh, great. Well, the second time they put him in motion and it was a stuff.
Yeah.
Because
got a little cute there. Kyle Shanahan's not afraid to get a little cute.
On the line of scrimmage.
Hey, let me ask you this. We haven't seen since, I don't believe, since Jimmy G came back from injury, we haven't seen Trey Lance on the field. Do we think that, I think the answer is yes, personally, but I'm curious if you guys think that at some point in assuming the 49ers win in the next 2 games that we would see some kind of Trey Lance package.
I don't know. I mean, we've been expecting it. He's healthier now than he has been.
Yeah.
Why not do it last week in the snow? Like, it just seems like if you're going to do it, that was the spot to do it in.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. Deebo, anything else we got to get to? Do we need to give away a gift card, or what are we doing here?
Shout out to Nick Hewitt, who is our Paramount Plus $100 gift card winner.
Hey!
Sorry, I didn't create any suspense with a drum roll or anything. Nick Hewitt is our winner. I will be in touch.
Cool.
Yellowstone, right? You can watch Yellowstone on there.
You can watch 1883,
1883. That's right.
which is the prequel to Yellowstone.
That's a prequel to
You can watch
Yellowstone. That's what I meant.
Mayor of Kingstown, fantastic show.
Is
You can
that
watch
good?
the AFC Championship. Mayor of Kingstown is a fantastic show, Pete. I
And
think
you can
would
watch
like it.
HQ on there.
You can watch Pete. You can't watch.
Which is
You
even
can't watch
better- which is
Yellowstone.
even better than 1880. It's better than 1883, but then again, I was born in 1883, so you got the.
Self dunk. We love a good self dunk around these
Pete,
parts.
Pete is the prequel to 1883. Prisco.
That's right.
1776. Here's your Declaration of Independence, boys.
You're signing it
All right.
wrong. Block.
All right, that's it for the show. That's it for the conference championship best bets. We will be back, of course, with a Super Bowl best bets at some point. And great season. Let's stay hot in the postseason. For Pete and RJ, I'm Brinson. We will see you guys.